If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Sharing it with your friends and family helps spread knowledge. And when we help others grow, we grow too. Thank you so much for listening. Let's dive into the podcast. The poor priest who became rich overnight. Father Bérenger Saunier climbed the dusty path to Rennes-le-Château in 1885 with nothing but worn clothes and a few coins in his pocket. The tiny village perched on a hill in southern France had fewer than 300 people, all of them poor. His new job as parish priest paid only 900 francs per year. That was barely enough to buy food. The church was falling apart. Rain leaked through holes in the roof. The walls were cracked and dirty. His house next door was even worse. Rats lived in the kitchen. The windows had no glass. Saunier slept on a straw mattress and ate bread and cheese like everyone else in the village. For the first few years, nothing changed. The priest said Mass each Sunday to mostly empty pews. He visited sick villagers and buried the dead. His clothes grew more patched and faded. People felt sorry for him. He was just another poor man in a poor place. Then something strange began to happen. In 1891, Saunier started spending money. Lots of money. First, he hired workers to fix the church. They brought expensive marble and gold decorations from Paris. The altar gleamed with precious stones. Stained glass windows replaced the broken ones. The transformation amazed everyone. But that was only the beginning. The priest built a tall tower called Tour Magdala. It cost more than he could earn in 20 years. He constructed a beautiful villa with gardens and fountains. Opera singers came from Paris to perform at his parties. Rich visitors arrived in fancy carriages. Saunier imported exotic animals for his private zoo. His housekeeper, Marie Denernaud, suddenly wore silk dresses and expensive jewelry. She looked like a wealthy lady from the city. The priest himself ate fine food and drank rare wines. His library filled with costly books. Everything about his life screamed wealth. The villagers whispered among themselves. Where was this money coming from? Church officials demanded answers. Saunier just smiled and said nothing. He kept no proper records of his spending. When bishops questioned him, he changed the subject. The mystery deepened every day. In just a few short years, the poorest priest in France had become richer than most nobles. His transformation was so complete and so quick that people began to wonder if he had discovered something extraordinary hidden in the ancient village. Some said he found buried treasure. Others whispered about secret knowledge worth more than gold. The Catholic Church grew suspicious. The French government started asking questions. But Saunier took his secrets to the grave, leaving behind only questions that still puzzle experts today. The secret hollow pillar and the mysterious parchments. The year was 1891. Father Bérenger Saunier stood in his crumbling church, hammer in hand. The old stones were falling apart. The roof leaked when it rained. His small village of Rennes-le-Château needed repairs badly. But Saunier was poor, very poor. He barely had money for food, let alone church repairs. Still, he started working on the altar. Someone had to try. As he chipped away at the old stone, something felt wrong. One of the ancient pillars sounded different when he tapped it. Hollow, empty inside. His heart raced. Why would a pillar be hollow? Carefully, he found a crack in the stone. With trembling fingers, he pried it open wider. Inside the dark space, his hand touched something dry and brittle. Paper. Very old paper. He pulled out 4 yellowed parchments. They were covered in strange writing. Some looked like Latin. Others showed weird symbols and codes. Letters were hidden inside other letters. Words twisted in patterns he had never seen. The village people gathered around. Nobody could read the mysterious text. It looked important, ancient, secret. Saunier knew he had found something big. These were not ordinary church papers. Someone had hidden them centuries ago. But why? What did they say? He packed the parchments carefully. Then he did something strange for a poor priest. He bought a train ticket to Paris. This cost him almost everything he had. In Paris, he visited the seminary of Saint-Sulpice. The scholars there were experts in old languages and codes. They studied his parchments for days. Their faces grew serious as they worked. What did they tell him? Nobody knows. The meetings were private, secret. When Saunier returned to his village, everything changed. He started acting differently. At night, people saw him digging around the church. He searched through the old cemetery with a shovel. His candle flickered in the darkness as he worked alone. Then came the real mystery. Saunier suddenly had money. Lots of money. He bought expensive furniture. He built a beautiful garden. He constructed a strange tower. Where did a poor priest get such wealth? The parchments? They disappeared. Gone forever. Saunier never spoke about what they contained. He took their secrets to his grave. Some people whisper the papers were treasure maps. Others think they held dangerous religious secrets. Maybe they proved Jesus had children, or showed where ancient gold was buried. The truth died with Father Saunier, but the questions remain. What was hidden in that hollow pillar? What did those coded parchments really say? And why did they make a poor priest suddenly rich? The bizarre church renovations with hidden clues. Something strange happened when Father Saunier started fixing his church. He did not just repair old stones and paint fresh walls. He turned the whole place into a giant puzzle. The moment you step inside, a terrifying statue stares at you. This is Asmodeus, a demon from old stories about greed and hidden secrets. He crouches by the holy water like a guard dog. His face looks angry and scary. Why would a priest put a demon in his church? Above the door, Saunier carved words in Latin. Terribilis est locus iste. This means this place is terrible. What kind of welcome is that? Most churches say come in and find peace. This one warns you to stay away. Walk deeper inside, and more oddness appears. The priest placed statues of saints in weird spots. If you read their names in order, they spell Graal. That spells Graal in French, which means Holy Grail. Was Saunier leaving hints about the famous cup from Jesus' time? The paintings make no sense either. One shows the moon in the wrong place in the sky. Another has stars that should not be there. These are not mistakes. Saunier paid artists good money for these pictures. He wanted them exactly this way. Look at the floor, and you see black and white squares, like a chessboard. This pattern appears in secret societies and mysterious groups. The walls have strange shapes and lines painted on them. Some people think these form a map to something buried nearby. Even the stations of the cross look wrong. These pictures usually show the same story in every church. But Saunier added details that do not belong. Extra people stand in the crowds. Objects appear that make no sense. Every single thing in this church seems to hide a message. The colors, the shapes, the way everything sits. Nothing feels random. It is like Saunier built a code into the very walls. Visitors leave feeling puzzled. They sense something important waits just out of reach. The priest spent years and lots of money creating this strange place. He could have built a simple, beautiful church. Instead, he made something that whispers secrets to anyone brave enough to listen. What was he trying to tell the world? What truth did he hide in plain sight? The church puts the priest on trial. The bishop had watched in silence for too long. By 1910, Father Saunier's spending had become impossible to ignore. How could a priest earning 900 francs each year, suddenly build mansions and throw parties that cost more than most people made in a lifetime. The church launched its investigation. They sent men with ledgers and calculators to examine every franc. What they found made their blood run cold. Saunier had been taking money from families across France. These grieving people paid him to say special prayers for their dead relatives. They called them masses. But here was the problem. The church counted up all the masses Saunier had promised to perform. The number was staggering. Even if he worked every single day without rest, he could never say enough prayers in 10 lifetimes to match what he had promised. Thousands of families had sent their hard-earned money to this priest. They believed their loved ones would receive proper prayers in heaven. Instead, Saunier had taken their payments and spent the money on himself. The investigators called it religious fraud. The bishop summoned Saunier to appear before a church court. They demanded to see his financial records. They wanted answers about where all this money really came from. But Saunier surprised everyone. He simply refused to come to his trial. He would not hand over his account books. He would not explain a single franc. The defiant priest acted as if the church had no power over him at all. The court had no choice. They found him guilty without him being present. They stripped him of his right to perform religious duties. In church terms, he was finished as a priest. Most men would have been destroyed by such shame. Not Saunier. He kept living in luxury. He continued his building projects. He threw more expensive parties. He acted as if nothing had happened. This behavior puzzled the investigators even more. What kind of man defies the entire Catholic Church and shows no fear? What secrets were hidden in those account books that he guarded so desperately? Some whispered that the mass payments were just a cover story. Maybe Saunier had found something far more valuable than money from grieving families. Maybe someone much more powerful was paying him to stay quiet. The priest's silence became more mysterious than his wealth. What could be worth risking everything he had sworn to serve? The deathbed secret that was never told. The morning of January 17, 1917, started like any other day. Father Saunier walked slowly through his beautiful gardens, admiring the flowers and paths he had built with his mysterious fortune. The sun was warm on his face. Birds sang in the trees he had planted. Then, something terrible happened. His body suddenly seized up, his face twisted in pain. He crashed to the ground like a fallen tree. Workers rushed to help him. They carried his heavy body inside the grand villa. The priest who had lived like a king was now dying. For 5 long days, Saunier lay in his bed. His breathing was shallow and weak. Everyone knew the end was near. On January 22nd, another priest arrived to hear his final confession. This was normal. All dying Catholics received last rites. But what happened next was not normal at all. The visiting priest went into Saunier's bedroom. The door closed. Voices could be heard through the walls, but the words were unclear. When the priest finally came out, witnesses said his face was white as snow. His hands shook. He looked like he had seen a ghost. The most shocking part came next. The priest refused to give Saunier absolution. He would not grant forgiveness for the dying man's sins. Whatever Saunier had whispered on his deathbed was so horrible that even a man of God could not bear it. What could be so terrible that a priest would break his sacred duty? What secret was worth keeping even at the moment of death? When Saunier died that same day, another mystery appeared. His entire fortune was not in his name. The villa, the tower, all the land, everything belonged to Marie Denarnaud. She was his housekeeper and the only person who knew his secrets. Marie lived alone in the grand house for decades. She had no money coming in, but she never sold anything. She never revealed where Saunier's wealth had come from. People begged her to tell them. She stayed silent. In the 1950s, Marie was old and poor. She finally sold the property to a man named Noël Corbeau. She made him a promise that sent chills down his spine. Before she died, she would tell him the secret that would make him rich and powerful. But fate had other plans. Marie suffered a massive stroke. She could not move. She could not speak. As death approached in 1953, she tried desperately to tell Corbeau the truth. Her mouth moved frantically, but only strange sounds came out. The secret died with her in that hospital bed. Whatever Saunière had found, whatever had made him wealthy, whatever had shocked that priest so badly, was now lost forever. Two people had known the truth. Both took it to their graves. The treasure story goes public, and treasure hunters invade. By the 1950s, Marie de Narnaud had taken her secrets to the grave. The Villa Bethania now belonged to Noël Corbeau, a businessman who had never heard Marie's final words. He owned the priest's old estate, but he knew nothing about what really happened. Corbeau had a problem. He wanted to turn the villa into a restaurant, but who would come to eat in this tiny, forgotten village? He needed customers. He needed a story that would bring people running. So Corbeau created one. He began telling anyone who would listen about Father Saunière's incredible discovery. But this wasn't the quiet story of old parchments and church secrets. This was something much bigger, much more exciting. According to Corbeau's new version, Saunière had found a massive treasure. Not just any treasure, but gold belonging to Blanche of Castile, a powerful queen from the 1200s. During wars and political chaos, Queen Blanche had hidden 28.5 million gold pieces somewhere near the village. The best part of Corbeau's story? Saunière had only found a small portion of this incredible wealth. Millions upon millions of gold coins still lay buried somewhere in Rennes-le-Château, waiting for the right person to find them. In 1956, a local newspaper interviewed Corbeau. The reporter wrote down every detail of the treasure story. The article spread like wildfire through French media. Other newspapers picked it up. Radio stations broadcast the tale. Soon all of Europe knew about the village with buried gold. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Treasure hunters arrived by the dozens, then by the hundreds. They came from France, Germany, England, and beyond. Each person believed they would be the one to strike it rich. The village turned into chaos. People dug everywhere. They tore up the church floors with picks and shovels. They excavated the cemetery, moving ancient gravestones aside. They climbed the hillsides with metal detectors. They crawled into every cave they could find. Dowsers showed up carrying forked sticks, claiming they could sense gold buried deep underground. Psychics arrived to hold midnight seances in the church, trying to contact Father Saunière's spirit for clues about where he hid the treasure. Amateur archaeologists set up camps and began systematic excavations. Journalists followed with cameras, documenting every dig. Fortune seekers came with crude maps they claimed showed secret locations. The tiny village couldn't handle the invasion. Cars blocked narrow streets. Tents appeared in fields. Local authorities struggled to maintain order as strangers damaged historical sites and private property. What had once been a quiet mystery known only to locals had exploded into an international phenomenon. Tens of thousands of visitors descended on Rennes-le-Château. Each one carried the same dream of finding Queen Blanche's lost fortune. The circus had begun. The fake parchments in the Priory of Sion hoax, the mystery of Rennes-le-Château, was about to get much bigger. But this time, it wouldn't be about a poor priest or hidden treasure. This time, it would be about lies, dressed up as ancient secrets. In the 1960s, a man named Pierre Plantard was watching the story of Father Saunière spread across France. Plantard was a clever man, with big dreams and loose morals. He saw something in this mystery that others missed. He saw opportunity. Years earlier, in 1956, Plantard had created a small social club. Nothing fancy, just a few friends meeting to chat about local politics. But he gave it a grand name, the Priory of Sion. He filed papers with the government, making it official. Then he waited. When the Saunière story grew popular, Plantard's wheels started turning. What if his little club wasn't just a modern group? What if it was ancient? What if it had existed since 1099, protecting secrets that could shake the world? Plantard met with Noël Corbu, the man who had bought Saunière's estate. Together, they cooked up a new version of the story. It was bigger now, more dramatic. The parchments Saunière found weren't about treasure, they claimed. They were about royal bloodlines, about secret societies, about truths that powerful people didn't want revealed. In 1967, Plantard worked with author Gérard de Sède to write a book called L'Or de Rennes. The book made bold claims. It said the mysterious parchments prove the Priory of Sion was real. It said they revealed earth-shaking secrets about French kings and hidden lineages. The book even showed photos of the parchments as proof. They looked old. They looked mysterious. They looked real. But they weren't. Philippe de Chérissé, Plantard's friend, had made them all. He used modern paper and modern inks. He created fake codes using techniques that didn't exist in Saunière's time. Then he snuck them into France's National Library, placing them among real historical documents. For years, people believed. The story spread around the world. Books were written. Movies were made. Millions of people became convinced that a secret society had guarded ancient mysteries for nearly 1,000 years. But lies have a way of cracking under pressure. In the 1980s, Chérisé's conscience finally bothered him. He confessed publicly that he had forged everything. Every parchment, every code, every piece of evidence. French courts called Plantard to testify. Under oath, facing serious legal consequences, he admitted the truth. The Priory of Sion was fake. He had invented it all. Yet even after the confession, the story lived on. The fake mystery had become more popular than the real one. The Jesus bloodline conspiracy explodes worldwide. The year 1982 changed everything. 3 British writers sat in a London office with stacks of Pierre Plantard's fake documents spread across their desk. Michael Bagent, Richard Lee, and Henry Lincoln had no idea they were about to create the most famous religious conspiracy theory in modern history. They called their book The Holy Blood and the Holy Grail. The story they told was shocking. Jesus Christ married Mary Magdalene. They had children together. Those children grew up and became French kings. The secret bloodline had survived for 2,000 years. The writers claimed that Father Saunière found proof of this in his little church. Ancient papers hidden in the altar. Documents that proved Jesus was just a man, not God. Papers that showed his children were still alive today. According to their story, Saunière took these papers to the Vatican. He threatened to tell the world the truth. The Catholic Church panicked. They paid him millions to stay quiet. That's how a poor priest became rich overnight. The book became a sensation. People bought millions of copies. They whispered about secret societies protecting Jesus' family. They wondered if the Catholic Church had been lying for centuries. But something was wrong. Real historians looked at the evidence. They found nothing. Every document came from Plantard's forgeries. Every claim fell apart under careful study. The 3 writers had built their entire theory on fake papers. The experts tried to warn people. They published research showing the hoax. They explained how Plantard made everything up. But it was too late. The story was too exciting to die. Then Dan Brown appeared. In 2003, he wrote the Da Vinci Code. He took the same story and made it even more thrilling. Secret codes in famous paintings, murder mysteries in Paris museums, ancient secrets hidden in plain sight. The book sold over 80 million copies. Hollywood made it into a movie. Suddenly, everyone knew about Rennes-le-Château and its mysterious priest. The tiny French village exploded with tourists. Over 100,000 visitors arrive each year. They come searching for clues. They take photos of the church where Sion supposedly found his treasure. They buy guidebooks and souvenirs. Tour companies make fortunes selling mystery trips. Websites analyze every stone in the village. People spend thousands of dollars chasing a secret that never existed. The strangest part? Everyone knows the truth now. Pierre Plantard admitted he made it all up. The documents are proven fakes. The Priory of Sion was a joke between friends. Yet the tourists keep coming. The books keep selling. The conspiracy lives on. The digs that found nothing. The shovels hit dirt again and again, but they never found gold. Dr. André Malacan thought he would be the one. In May 1956, he got special permission to dig under the church floor. This was the first real search for Sion's treasure. The doctor dug deep holes all through the church, 1 meter down, 2 meters down. His workers scraped and sifted through every inch of soil. What did they find? Old bones. A skull with a strange cut in it. Tests later showed the bones came from someone who died between 1281 and 1396. Hundreds of years old, but not what anyone wanted to find. No gold coins, no ancient scrolls, no secret documents from Jesus himself. The doctor packed up his tools and went home empty-handed, but others kept trying. Jacques Cholet was an engineer from Paris. He knew about machines and scientific methods. Between 1959 and 1963, he came back to Rennes-le-Château again and again. He brought better equipment than the doctor had used. He dug in the church. He dug around the church. He searched the nearby hills and valleys. Still nothing. Not even interesting old bones this time. The local history society decided to settle this once and for all. In November 1956, they started a full year of research. René Descadeas was their leader. He was a real historian who knew how to find facts. For 12 months, his team searched every corner of the village and surrounding area. Their final report was clear. They found no evidence anywhere to support the assertion that down the ages, any individual, family, group, or clan could have accumulated a precious treasure hoard at Rennes and then concealed it in the locality or its environs. In simple words, there was no treasure. There never had been. But the story would not die. In 2003, an American man claimed his family had worked for Sion long ago. He said he knew exactly where the treasure was hidden. The mayor of Rennes-le-Château decided to dig one more time. This excavation was different. They used ground-penetrating radar that could see deep underground. They brought professional archaeologists. News crews filmed everything. The machines beeped and hummed. The radar showed what lay beneath the famous Tour Magdala Tower. Everyone held their breath as the diggers broke ground. They found nothing. Again, every single official dig had ended the same way. Empty holes in the ground, disappointed faces, no treasure, no secret papers, no proof that Sion had ever found anything special. But treasure hunters keep coming to this small French village. They bring metal detectors and dreams of riches. They are sure the next shovel of dirt will change everything. The mystery that won't die. Something strange happens in the small French village of Rennes-le-Château. Even after all the lies came out, people still believe. Even after the forgers confessed, even after courts proved it was all fake, Pierre Plantard stood in a courtroom and admitted he made it all up. The parchments were fake. The secret society never existed. Philippe de Chérissé laughed about fooling so many people. Historians show that every single part of the Jesus bloodline story was wrong, but the mystery lives on. Every year, thousands of visitors climb the winding roads to this tiny village. They come with hope in their eyes. They search for something hidden, something real, something that will change everything. When one theory dies, another takes its place. Now, people whisper about Templar treasure buried deep in the earth. Knights who rode through these hills centuries ago left gold behind. Others point to the Cathar people who hid their riches before enemies destroyed them. Some believers go even further. They talk about visitors from other worlds who left strange objects in secret caves. They claim Mary Magdalene herself lies buried somewhere near the old church. They even suggest the lost Ark of the Covenant sits waiting in an underground chamber. The church becomes their map. Every carving holds secret meaning. Every statue points to hidden clues. They measure distances between stones. They draw lines across the landscape. They find patterns where none exist. Books fill shelves with new theories. Websites spread fresh stories. Tour guides lead groups through narrow streets, pointing at shadows and whispering about codes. Everyone has an answer. Everyone knows the real truth. But maybe the real mystery is simpler. Maybe it shows us something about ourselves. People want to believe in magic. They need to think that somewhere, somehow, there are secrets waiting to be found. When diggers find nothing, believers say they dug in the wrong place. When experts prove something false, believers say the experts are lying. The mystery grows stronger with each failure. The absence of treasure becomes proof that treasure exists. The lack of evidence becomes evidence of a better hiding place. The mystery feeds on itself. It grows stronger when attacked. In quiet moments, when tourists leave and the village sleeps, you can almost feel it. The weight of all that believing, all that hoping, all that searching for something more than ordinary life. The truth is simple. People came to this place looking for magic, and in their searching, in their believing, they created their own kind of magic. Not the kind you can hold or spend, but the kind that keeps bringing them back.